First, we have roll call. Chris Rooks is absent. Brian Pierceville.
Here.
Emily Craven's here. And also present is our attorney, Brian Alsip. Minutes of Board of Metropolitan Police Commissioners meeting April 9th, 2026.
I don't know if I was here for that one. I can't remember.
You weren't.
So that just had to be tabled until.
Table way approval of minutes, okay?
And then we have the operating policies and procedures public hearing. So we'll go ahead and open that up for public comment.
Was there proper
Yes.
notification given to the paper?
Yes.
And this matter would be ready to come before the board.
Does anybody have any thoughts or public comments?
So as far as the operating policies and procedures, the public hearing would be ready to go. There have been copies circulated around of that. The most recent of which I believe was mailed out, or was emailed out maybe a couple of different times. This has been through numerous hands for review, such as the town attorney, Mr. Huddleston, I think, reviewed it. It went before the town council for review.
Yes.
So with that, then, if there be any public comment, stand and be sworn and come forward. Seeing none, then, I would say that the discussion here would be over for public comment, and we would go to a board discussion, if there be any.
Okay. After that, we have had these, I wouldn't use the word scrutinized, but they have been. This was an accumulation of, I believe, Franklin, a lot of other agencies, along with our own, and then made to work within our own confines of our own department. I feel like you've had a very good look at it, Brian. I think Dustin's had a very good look at it, and council approved. So I would like to make a motion to approve the current operating policies and procedures.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Based on 2 votes, that would be quorum, that would then pass. So the Edinburgh Board of Metropolitan Police Commissioners Rules and Procedures, which will be the rules and procedures that govern this body and the operation thereof, are now passed. And we will need those signed and adopted. So if we could get Curtis to sign off on that, and then Emily and Ryan, if you wouldn't mind signing off on this. Thank you.
And standard operating procedures public hearing.
I will note before we get started with this, that, was this also sent out for public comment?
Yes.
And the same question as before, that notice was sent out and all requirements met, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I will note that there was discussion at our previous meeting, and the standard operating procedures were reviewed by Mr. Huddleston, the town's attorney, and also looked at in relationship to resolution 2024-7 to determine whether or not the new SOPs that are proposed would have any sort of, if there would be any conflict, and his report back was that there is no conflict. So in light of that, I believe I just wanted to pass that along, that it would be open for public comment.
If there's any public comments, just come up to the podium and state your name and address.
I'll still have to do the address.
Well, I would say because he's a police officer, I would
Just use the police
I
department.
would just say the police department address.
Okay.
Based off the last meeting, comments, questions, concerns, about how some things were worded in here.
Okay.
Did we ever look into that anymore?
Well, it was requested that the town attorney look into whether or not there was any conflict, and that report came back as a negative, that there was no conflict. And other than that, I don't know that any of the wordings have been reviewed. That would kind of be the purpose of today. I mean, these are the proposed standard operating procedures for the Edinburgh Police Department. So now would be the time, if we want words changed or anything of that nature, give you time to make your proposals known, and then this board will make a determination of that.
Brian, I want to interject, and I do
Yes, sir.
believe that Tustin did review and there were no changes in the, and I know when council reviewed it, it was the same. So
Okay.
I can get Dustin on the phone to confer that, but I'm fairly confident that was the last correspondence that I had he didn't see any conflict of terminology, and council didn't see any changes that they wished to make either.
So the last correspondence that I had from Mr. Huddleston was back toward the end of April.
Yeah.
And he had indicated at that point in time that it would be left up to town council review. That didn't
Yeah,
happen
that did happen.
since. Okay, very good.
And that was in a public forum, I believe, as well.
Okay, very good. Officer Coy then?
Just still kind of I guess how it's written as of right now. Just kind of seems like, we're to be on call 24 hours a day. So I know that typically 101 and 102 are usually the quote unquote on call. God forbid we ever have, natural disaster here like we did back in 2008 or anything. So I would assume like those incidents, we would be called in to help with, life and property. I just wanted to make sure that those things were how 101 and 102 intended to write them in these SOPs. Just kind of seems to be a little vague in some areas, which I know obviously we have to keep some things vague, as can't have everything 100% based off of the statutes and laws and things of that nature. But I just didn't know, it kind of had been brought up, and I know Emily kind of had the same questions last meeting about how some of the things were worded, especially with, if we're to be on call 24 hours a day, that kind of limits us to have our, adult beverages and things outside of those hours. Would we be in trouble if we, we're like, hey, we obviously can't come in tonight? So I just know that was kind of those concerns that everybody brought up at the last meeting. So I didn't know if those were brought up, touched on, or anything of that nature.
Well, I think as indicated that it was reviewed by the town council and by the town's attorney, and no issues found. Now, I cannot imagine that despite the way that it's written, I cannot imagine that unless there was some sort of something significant that they wanted everybody in for, that there would be any reason that if you were off and you were scheduled to be off, then you couldn't respond for whatever reason. I mean, when you're off, you can go wherever you want. I mean, you're not beholden 24 hours a day to the town. There is no disciplinary mechanism that they could bring forward that would get this board to hold somebody accountable if you were out of town or inebriated, or which you're an adult and you're allowed to do if you're not on duty, right? I can't imagine that this board would ever hold somebody in a discipline for living your life.
Well, I would hope not.
I cannot imagine a scenario where that would happen.
No, absolutely not. And I don't think that's the intent of it at all.
It is not. It's basically if we call and you're available, then we need you to come in. If you're available to come in. If you're in a police car, you're in a march unit, somebody robs somebody in front of you, you have a duty to intervene. You have to go do that. That's your job. You can't just turn off being a police officer, and that was the intent of this. Obviously, we've had, incidents before we've called and had to ask people to come in to cover shifts and things of that sort. They're out there, they're with their family, they've been drinking, they can't come in, it's fine. We understand that, that's expected, so.
Officer Coy, do you have any other concerns other than that concern?
Just those were just kind of how it was written.
Other than the writing of it, the practical application as we believe that it will be put in, does that alleviate your concerns?
As far as that one goes, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you wish to address this evening?
I'll just go sit back down. I'm assuming it won't do any good either, so. Thank
Well, it's an
you.
open forum, so
You can speak your piece. I mean, you obviously need to, so.
Thank you.
all right, thank you, officer. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in regards to the standard operating procedures that have been introduced?
Make a motion to approve the standard operating procedures just as the same as we had the other, they've been, again, reviewed more. We have to have a baseline here. And I think this provides that for us, and I think it's a very good set of standard operating procedures. So they cannot be dialed into every individual. It's encompassing all involved. So that being said, I make a motion to approve the standard operating procedures as presented.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then if there's any other business,
These don't need to be signed off on, I don't believe, by the board. Is there not a place for that then?
no.
There's not. What we'll do is resubmit them to the officers to make sure that they're aware of any changes that were made from the last time. So we presented them before and asked for a signature, just a receipt. And we got all of the receipt except for one. So
Okay.
we'll just put it back out there to each, and then they've been posted since we got those, but we'll actually re-put them out in an email with just a confirmation.
Very good. And so Chief, then you'll be handling the standard operating procedures, getting those out to your officers since those are now approved by this board. As far as the policies and procedures for this board, now I believe we're in a position to where we can move forward with your needs for officers. And are you ready to go on that?
We're ready to go. I put a packet in front of each of you, kind of give you an idea of what our current,
Is it this?
how we do this. It is, and it is a list of our step-by-step procedures. It has the tests that we actually administer. It has the newest test that the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy is making effective as of August. I didn't put what we do right now because by the time we get enough down further into that investigation of new candidates, we'll be in a new testing, which we've not even done yet. So that's going to take some building of some props to be able to do. I guess my question is for the board is how do we proceed with that? Are we still allowed to do the testing from the police department, and then we can look further into, do we try to hire an outside company at some point or not? Just because the timing, we're down 2 officers now. So our process is we do usually on a Saturday or Sunday, we ask for any of the applicants that provided all of the application, all the correct documents to come and do a written test, which we provided them for that test. The test is a lot of spelling, some comprehensive questions, but some abstract. Those that pass that test then go to the track, which is the portion that we're having to create now because it's a different test than do the physical agility. That's administered by a deputy chief. I'm there just basically as a coach, yay, Rob. I don't partake in any of those because we don't want that perception. What we ask is other officers within the department to come and actually proctor that test, basically come up with the scores by counting them out. They give them to the deputy chief. So that way it's a whole buy-in and there's no way of any bias. From there on, then we go to the interview process, which we do a board of interviews. And I believe that's really where the board really would kind of partake. Obviously the board would get notification of each of these steps. And we encourage anybody from the board that would like to come and see that portion of it, especially as an observer. But the interview piece is the part that I believe that the board needs to be the most involved in, plus obviously coming up with that score to make sure that we get the candidates in the right order, which I know is going to be a longer process. But I just want to make sure who's going to be doing what processes more than anything so we can move forward. We do have a good set of applications that's been open since November of last year. We're still taking them currently. So we do have some, we just never know how many of those have already got a job right now.
Sure. And I believe, Chief, as I go through the Edinburgh Board of Metropolitan Police Commissioners rules and procedures that we just put into place, that would call for the board, and it says board shall administer, board shall do this. But I think by designation, this board could designate however we see fit someone to administer these various tests. So I think your request today of the board then would be that for example, for the physical agility test, the deputy chief be given authority of this board to administer said test,
Correct.
okay?
And they're written as well.
And the written test as well. Would the board members feel comfortable voting on that and designating by the authority to the deputy chief to administer the
I am
test?
not in favor of that.
Okay.
I want an outside agency doing this. I feel it leaves us under too much liability. We are one of, and I know this is not what you guys wish. I understand that, and we're in a tax shift thing. But I've seen this. I've seen public safety as a transition since the early 2000s, and now that I know you say Trafalgar has, but I'm going to tell you, I know most of them don't.
Do we have an outside agency in mind that we would be able
Yes,
to contract with?
I'd have to, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. I had it on, yes, I do, but I'll have to look at, try to back in my records to find it.
And with that, then, are we able to contract with them quickly enough that?
I believe so, yes, I believe so. That's what their business is.
Okay.
And I think the questions can be handled by our administration. Our questions for the test, the proctors, can be handled internally with our own people. It'll just be an unbiased agency that takes that buffer away, so there isn't that our own people scoring and grading the test. It's through an outside agency. We use this same type of methodology in other things for the town to try to keep things clean, and I think this is no different. And I know the fire department, when it does evolve to this, it's going to use an outside testing agency as well, and hiring process. So I'm completely drawing a blank on the name of it right now. But the interviews were conducted with our people, with our board, with our administration. The questions again were chosen from our people. I strongly feel we need that. We're a small town, and it just takes that out of the equation. And I just can't, it's escaped me. I cannot think of the name of the agency that I would refer to, but that's what I would like to see. But again, Emily and Curtis may see a different direction. Obviously Curtis isn't here to make that call, but Emily, you have any thoughts on that?
I think I agree with what you're saying because it is such a small town. Everybody knows each other, and you just want to take out any possible bias.
Very good. With that said, how quickly can we get contracts with these folks so that we can get the application process rolling?
I mean, I think we can do it right away. I can't tell you 100% what that's going to look like, but I believe it was public safety, and they're based out of Indianapolis. Yes, it was Testing for Public Safety LLC.
Okay.
So what we could do, either our administration here in the office, Emily or Chief, make that call and speak with them. IPSP, yeah. So they are based out of Indianapolis. I apologize.
And would that be then the town manager taking care of at least working the contracts out?
I really think, I don't think the town manager's going to be, I think it's going to have to be through this board or through.
Well, sure. Well, I didn't know who's in
Yeah.
charge of contracting.
Yeah, and then I think it will go to Dustin and then.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I believe if we can get this under a threshold, if the cost is under the threshold of, within our confines, it may not have to go in front of council, I think.
What was the budget that council approved for this board? Do you recall?
Did they approve one?
No.
That has not been
That's not,
approved yet.
that's not that one. So that makes it a little easier. If this board deems it fit, I think we could just make the motion to hire them. I would assume under your review. Is that correct?
I would be comfortable doing that.
Then let's move forward with that.
Okay.
Brian, what was the name of it? IPSP?
IPSP, I'll send you the link. This is what, I can tell you confidently that Franklin and Barkersville have went to. I really was really, they're very thorough.
Do you know if they do the physical agility piece? I know that they do the testing, because that's,
Yeah,
as long as I've been
motion
wanting
and
to get them.
application testing. I can't tell you that. I
Especially
don't know,
when
because
they do tests.
on the fire side, we would go do CPAP.
Mhm.
You guys don't have that.
And
So
this is a new test for us, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I've just gotten guidance from our legal that I'm sharing with you folks that to take an outside agency is the best route to go. Because there's plenty of legal things going on almost daily. So why open the door for more? So I can't tell you that. I don't know. I think, Sean, I see you kind of shaking your head. No, I don't know. I can't.
IPSB's been around for a long time, for as long as I've been trying to get into law enforcement, all the way back into Marion County. Their test is, be a pretty rough test. And then I don't know that we'll get as many applicants for.
Well, to that, and I've heard you say that before, and I'm certainly not trying to argue with you, but I don't want somebody that we have to lower the test score to get. No. So if that test makes it too hard and they can't get hired, then maybe they shouldn't be here to begin with. I'm just saying that. So I've heard you reflect that a few times, and I don't know. I know that's not what you mean, but then again, I'm also concerned that when we went to the 77 fund, we were trying to set ourselves apart from the ones that aren't. And I feel that we don't compromise. You know, we were trying to hold ourselves to a higher standard, you and Chief Lawler, and I think you're doing a good job of that. So this is one more professional step to get to that.
And I have no problem doing that. We just need to try to get the ball rolling. I'm just worried about.
Yeah,
trying to get
I
it
understand
rolling,
that.
because right now
but-
it's 2 down and 20 shifts open.
Well, it's not necessarily the fact that we don't think we're gonna get the quality educated people. It's the fact that, I think the better way to word that is, you can go 20 minutes down the road and make $20,000 more, take the same test. So you're gonna have a harder time attracting more people to come here for less money, involving the same type of testing. I think that's what we're trying to do.
And I think our draw still is a 77 fund, because I know we just lost an officer from the department that does not have a 77 fund. So that tells me maybe it's not everything either, but sure as hell is a good start.
It is.
Yeah, and so again, there's a reason why 20 minutes up the road they're using it. I'm not saying it's the way it has to be. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. And it may be that we have to do our own internal physical. I don't know. I can't tell you that. That's not part of something I'm familiar with. But I do think as far as the interviews, it would be best to have that outside agency, because it'd be bad to have that come back and we're gonna have to defend it. It's he said, she said at that point.
So it sounds like what you would be moving for is that we move forward with this professional outfit to handle all of this. Is that?
Yeah.
Would that be?
And again, if we don't have an outside agency to do the physical, then absolutely, let's do it internally. But try to make that as neutral as we can. I just don't have an answer for that part, but I know you guys know of IPSB. So that would be, so I think you would need a motion to look into that and contact them, correct?
It sounds like you made it.
I think I did.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sounds good. Get the contact information and I'll start working on that, or working with the folks here to work on that. Okay. Chief, did you have anything else that you needed us to address this evening?
I don't think so.
Of course, we are scheduled next to meet, when?
June 11th.
June 11th. Okay. I know you're gonna start working on a timeline, right? We're gonna start working with these folks.
Right, so I guess what we'll do is we'll call them, find out what that looks like contract wise.
Yes.
And then we'll just get it to the board to move forward, because obviously you need to review that contract and make sure and that it's within, since we don't have a budget, it sounds like as long as it's not an astronomical amount of money, then we'll be good.
Right.
So if we expedite that faster, Brian, could you review it and say, this looks fine, and it doesn't have to come back in for a motion? Is that acceptable? If we make it subject to your legal review and you review it and it's good,
Yeah.
so we approve it now, you review it, it's fine, we can go ahead and move forward.
You could approve it subject to, attorney review, board attorney review. And then if I sign off on it, then we can get moving on
All right, so moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
it. Start working with them, just send me the information.
I sent that to your email, if you could, that copy to the link, and then that'll start us, at least something there, so.
Okay.
The town doesn't have any sort of requirements that there has to be bidding or anything for a contract of that nature.
I think only if it's over a certain amount, right? Or is that just for?
Certain, I honestly, I can't say that for certain.
Let's see what they say then.
Because we're kind of governed under our own rules here now, and I don't know, I don't think that's in there. I don't think we're, because of that, I don't know. Well, that's a good question.
I just want to make sure that we weren't
Yeah.
going to do something as a board that is in violation of the
Yeah,
town.
I'm not sure on that one, so.
Okay, well, let's see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Do you have anything else?
Chief, did you want me to call them or did you want to call them?
If you want to call me, you're welcome to. I will send you what the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy's physical agility, if you want to ask them if they do that as well. I don't think that they
I don't
do,
think they do
but especially with all the changes that the academy's making come August, so.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
if you
just-
want to make that phone call, or just let me know, I'll come over, we can make a phone call again in case they have questions.
Yeah,
Sure.
either way is fine.
Just let me know when.
And then I just have a general question. So we have like the town personnel policy, and now you guys have your SOPs. Do the police have their own separate personnel policy in general?
So we operate off the town's policy, but our SOPs can further restrict that, that policy for the town. And they're more specific to law enforcement specific stuff, which we have quite a few.
Okay. Ryan, did you have anything else?
that. No, that's it, thank you.
Then I'll open up for public comment.
I've got something.
If you could state your name.
Officer Sean Pendleton.
Address.
200 South Main
Police
Street.
Department.
200 South Main Street. So regarding the policy or the rules in place for the merit board, I know I don't want to necessarily beat a dead horse, but with the hiring process, I know that public safety does all the written tests, they do all the psych evaluations, they do the physical stress analysis, all that stuff, but they do not, as far as I'm aware of, they do not do the physical agility tests. And most agencies that I'm aware of within the Tri-County area typically do their own physical agility tests themselves, because it's a standard that they have to meet for the academy. And we want to make sure that we're putting somebody up there, sending somebody up there for the entrance level or exit level, that we're not just sending them up there, they fell, and then we have to figure it out from that point forward. The other aspect that's unclear in those rules, as far as the interviews stuff, we used to do a peer interview. I don't know if that's something that we're throwing out, or if all interview process is going to be done strictly by the board. And I get the idea of, we don't want to have to show any sort of favoritism or anything like that toward an applicant. But there is an aspect to this job that those that don't do this job don't understand. When hearing an answer from somebody who's applying for this type of role, that we would be able to kind of see through. If you take the department's, that's the word I'm looking for, involvement out of the process completely in some way. Like, I think the board should have like kind of final say, but there should be some input from the police department side of things, between the police department and the board, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to start to see, as the process goes through, and I hope not, but what I fear is that, especially for a small town agency like ours, is that we're going to see more turnover with new hires, because of the simple fact that we hire somebody who really wasn't mentally ready for the job, even though they passed psyche evals and stuff like that. Really, until you get out there and actually do it and have to get into the weeds with a suspect or something of that nature, that's when you really find out if they're really worth it. Or if that's when they find out if they really want this type of job. So just something to think about when putting your whole process together, is that there should be some interview aspect by peer board. I know Bartholomew County, my wife's been there for 16, almost 18 years actually, if you include all of her jail time. She's part of the peer board interview process that they have in place. Okay, so they have a group of officers that come in and they interview all the applicants, and they have set questions, as we do, and then you can ask any individual questions after that. And then after that, they discuss it, and then they take a vote on if they pass through to the next phase or whatever the case is. Now, I'm not saying we have to do it exactly like that. I'm just saying that there are agencies that have a hand within their process so that they feel that they're picking the right person for the job. Because otherwise, we could end up, picking a bad individual or someone who's incapable of doing what we do. And I'd hate to see that happen. The other thing is inside the merit board rules about promotions. It's very unilateral, okay? The only person who can apply for a lieutenant's position is a current sergeant. We have one. So let's just say if Lieutenant Mercado left tomorrow, the only person promotional or promotable within this department is Sergeant Sturgeon, because we are singular. We don't have multiple sergeants, we don't have multiple lieutenants, we don't have multiple captains, stuff of that nature. I think there should be something changed in there to allow for some lateral movement with, as far as, if a lieutenant spot came open tomorrow, and I'm just using that as an example, that somebody who hasn't held a position of sergeant, who may possess the capabilities for an open management position, should have the ability to apply for that position instead of having to basically stay at patrol level because he hasn't held a sergeant position. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that now you're going to have to promote more people to sergeant, which we don't have even, and then you end up with more chiefs and not enough Indians.
I think, Sean, the thought process with that is one, it's not as, it's IDSB and these, it's a testing process to get promoted. And I thought that's what we were going to, unless I was wrong. Where you don't just get hired off of a good old boy system.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's the way. I'm just saying like the testing process. So like if we had an open lieutenant's position tomorrow and all we have is one sergeant that is, that could move up, that could test to move up, then we have a problem, right?
I agree, but I think that comes into, do we need to promote additional sergeants? Do we need to promote, because you're right, it's a very singular shot, right? And the rank structure is that you don't go from, I'll use the word captain, even though we don't have captains. You wouldn't go from a patrolman to a captain because that might not be qualified.
Sure.
Right. So there's what I was familiar with is you held a rank for 5 years before you could test. 3 to 5 years. I'll say 5 just to be safe. 5 years to initially test from your probationary year. That meant at that point, were you ready mentally and physically to be promoted to lieutenant? 5 years, some were, some weren't, right? It just depends on the individual. So I think that comes into, do we need to, that would go back into budgeting and say, can we allocate more money for additional sergeants? Can we allocate more money for additional lieutenants? I think we need them personally. I think every shift should have some kind of leadership, not a senior officer. And I think you guys don't have that all the time. Am I correct?
So we only have one sergeant, one lieutenant, and those are on each opposite rotations of the night shift. So
And I get your analogy of too many
Too many
chiefs, not of Indians.
Right.
But there has to be somebody accountable and a point person on every shift instead of just the senior. Because I can honestly tell you, the senior officer isn't always the best officer either.
No,
It's not a dig at anybody, that's just a fact.
And we don't have that either.
No.
It's not necessarily the senior officer here, it's the officer that's shown the leadership skills to be able to do that.
it's like,
Which is our day shift. We have just considered officers in charge, not a rank structure, but they are the leadership of that rotation. It's day shifts. And those officers in charge are where everybody goes to. Unfortunately, they don't have the rank because we've never had that opportunity to promote.
But we need to.
Even more, and I'm completely good with that. I
And I
think
think
that
we'll
will
put a stipend
help
with
some
that.
of this concern.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it has to be, you're gonna step up and you're gonna take a sergeant role, lieutenant role, and let's say you put a captain role in. You need to be compensated for that, and that's where the council needs to adjust the budget and that stipend of whatever, 1,500, 3,500, I can't remember what we did when we did it. But I see your concern, and I think it's very valid, but I think the answer to that is I don't think we can do anything this year. But budget hearings start
Financially.
in July, and we allocate for it. It's minimal, and I'm sitting on the other council now speaking, but that being said, it's a minimal on the budget for appropriate, I don't know, $7,000 of stipends, get 10,000. But I think that's the answer, but I get what you're saying.
I just wanted to bring to the
Yeah,
attention of the
yeah.
board that there was a little bit of a gap there.
And that is probably looking at a larger structure, a larger department, I think, that has more, more lieutenants, more captains, more whatever. It is a copy paste that fits really well for, let's say, Greenwood. But I think we do have to have those leadership roles, and I think you guys are going to have to propose it, and then when you propose it is my job to explain why it is, but that's what needs to happen.
I think that's exactly right. If they want to add a sergeant, they need to ask the council for money, and then the council, say, we're gonna do that, and then this board would see to the promotion list.
And I think it's an extremely doable thing. The chain of command is, that's what this is built on, right? It's a paramilitary structure, and that's the way it's built. So, that's what I would like to see, Sean, and I think you're very valid in your concerns. I do.
That's all I've got.
Thank you, sir.
So if we only have one person eligible to promote, do they have to go through all these different examinations and stuff? Or is it just a case by case?
No, that's how it's a fair process each and every time. That ensures that fair process each and every time. And that's if we use an outside testing agency, that will give an unbiased fair. Because previously to this, and it's the fire department too, it's not just these folks. Previously to the 77, before this adoption rules, you could change leadership overnight. And that's not what we want. And then they become a merit lieutenant, and they become a merit sergeant, or they become a merit captain. I'm just throwing out terms. So if Sean goes back down and he doesn't want this position anymore, he doesn't get bumped down to patrol because chief doesn't like him anymore. He stays in his merit position. And that's an earned position. He's earned that. So that's why we test for that. That's why we have this, let's say this agency, IPSP, and he's earned it, he's deserved it, and he will stay at it. So you can promote up as appointed, but you won't go down unless you're demoted. By the board, thank you.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Are you guys gonna do a test for that to keep a list, just in case?
Yes.
Somebody gets demoted.
It was, I would say every 2 years would be and that doesn't mean anybody has to file.
No.
You know what I mean, but it would inherently do. So if a lieutenant retires,
Right,
that next spot slides out.
so you wouldn't have to have that gap in time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a plug and play.
Yeah.
And then I think we can add this in here, but if you want it to be a 3-year, if your new officer comes off of probationary and he, and you're like, this guy could be ready in 3 years. That's your number, you stick with that, and that's your standard. Or if it's 5 years, and then, they've got a whole rank of sergeant for 2 to 3 years. The goal is to have a mindset that you have leadership available and that they're just not moving through the ranks to move through the ranks.
So it's similar to what the sheriff's department does. There's always a a testing list and free.
No, yeah. So what we could honestly do if we wanted to stagger them or put them together, put our hiring every 2 years and put our test, it's a lot to do in 1 year, or we could stagger them out. We do a promotion test every other year, and then the alternative year, we would do a hiring process, so it would stay in that rotation. That way it's a plug and play is the hope.
Well, what we hope to do is figure out that magical words to keep people here and not have any turnover.
Right.
I mean, you got about 60% of the department that's vested. I'm not really looking to leave, and that's where you hope that we can get those that come in here and see what the town has to offer, and it's not just always a financial piece of it.
Oh,
It's just
you'd
that
like to
piece.
think that it's not just the financial, that you have good equipment.
Yeah.
And that you have the 77 fund, and you try to do the benefits the best you can, but in this sector, there's only so much insurance that the town can offer, there's only so much whatever that is, because the 77 funds across the board the same, it doesn't change, right? But, the insurance is what it is, and we're a small community. Do I think every public safety officer ought to make $100,000 a year? Can you put that on record? Yes, I do. Can we pay it? Absolutely not. It's just, that's the real of it. Now, in some agencies, yes, they can afford that. They have tax dollar to do that. But I think if we can help in some other ways, it definitely is better today than it was 20 years ago.
100%.
Don't forget to add leadership and lack of, that'll add that list and turnover rate too.
So there are a lot of factors. I don't dispute that. And 20 years ago, where we are today it's huge. So, anything else?
I don't think so.
If there's nothing else then.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next meeting again is when?
June 11th, sorry.
June 11th, 5:15. That sounds good. See you all back here then.
Who hits the gavel?